from a very young age I was interested in cars. I used to look at the Cobra and dream of having a Cobra one day, but the cost of them was far too high. So I basically just worked about with my father, fixing his car and whatnot, and learning off him up until I get married. Fortunately, we built a garage, and I says once I get a garage, I'll have a classic car to restore. So, by luck, I got one. I was looking on eBay, and I seen a rear seat, and I didn't think anything of it. So I went in and looked at it, and it was £300. I says, well, if it's a project that'll do me, I'm not wasting a lot of money. So I went to see this car, and it was up at Bonnyrig in Edinburgh, and it was a total wreck. But silly enough, I said to the guys, it's £300 you're looking for? He says yes, so I says, right, I'll buy it. So I got a friend from my work had a trailer, and we went up at the weekend and brought the car down. The car was covered in cobwebs and dust and everything. My wife Marie, she looked out the front door when it came in the house and says, if it doesn't fit in the garage, take it away again. So I got into the garage, and the first thing, I think it was only a starter missing from it. So I tinkered about with it. Lo and behold, I get the engine going on it. So I started it and I drove it out the garage, and my two children washed it, and I reversed it back in. Brakes weren't working, there was very little fluid, but I knew the car was running. It was driving forward and it was reversing. So I started then finding out what I needed for it. And the more I looked into it, I discovered that the car that I got was a Riley 1.5. There weren't that many of them about, and there weren't a lot of spares. Parts were rare, so I was collecting them as and when I seen them. But I had to make a lot, I had to fabricate a lot of them. I worked in a small engineering place. I managed to make parts for it, and it took me 7 years. So that was like a hobby. I didn't treat it as doing up classic cars. It was just a hobby when I worked on cars, and the passion grew as the more I done it. As I looked into the Riley 1.5 more and more, I discovered there were only 39,500 cars ever made. And at the time that I was restoring this car, there were only about 490 registered on the road with the DVLA. I found out that the car's body matched the Wolseley 1500. The engine was different. The engine had, for the Riley, it was a better spec, a more up-class motor. It had twin carbs on it, it had more chrome, it had bigger brakes than the Wolseley 1500, but it shared the same wheels, body parts, door panels, boot panels, bonnet, all that. So it gave me more to look at, that I could search for a Wolseley 1500 when I was looking for parts, but the parts were very hard to come by. I managed to get the car on the road in 2015. That was all restored. So I decided to take it to a couple of shows. So I went to Hamilton Classic Car Show and Linlithgow Car Show that year. The following year, 2018, drove it away down to Biggar. It was quite a big show. There were a lot of good popular cars there, Jaguars and Minis and whatnot. Locked the car and was walking around the field, looking at admiring all the other cars that was in the show. And on my way back, I seen there was something sticking to my windscreen, and a friend that was down with says, I think that's a slip saying you've got a prize. So I says, oh, you're kidding on. I says, I'd never got a prize amongst all these cars. There were Jaguars and Capris and Cortinas, a lot there. As I drew closer, my curiosity started to get a wee bit better in me, so I went under the ropes of the corrals, made my way right across to the motor, and discovered that there was a first prize sticking on my car. Oh, I was chuffed to bits. It wasn't the winning, it was getting the cup and sitting the cup on top of the bonnet and taking a photo of it. It's absolutely magic. A lot of comments that I get from going to the shows is how they kept the car original. I kept it the original interior, apart from the carpet and all the chrome. I didn't really do any modifications to the bodywork, apart from painting it and obviously restoring it. But it's got a deep maroon colour, the mask red, and when it's polished it really shines out. It stands out if you're in the sunlight and whatnot. So it's really good. I get comments on it how well it's looking and how long did I take to do it and whatnot. Really interesting. I think I was up at Bo'ness car show. I was among a lot of cars. Now, in car shows you get cars, it's people kind of oily rag them, take them off a trailer. They kind of keep it as original as possible. And there was this lady come up to me and walked right round the car, and a lot of people was admiring it, saying how good it was. And she walked right round it and then went to the back and says, "Oh, he's missing an I and an E off the nameplate." Fortunately, I had it in my wallet, and I says, I was washing the car and it broke off. I says, but if that's the only thing that's wrong with the car, by the way, I'll take that as a compliment. My next project that I've already started is an Austin Healey Sprite. It's for my son. The two of us are working on it, but we're getting there at the same point. It's an Austin Healey Sprite 1967 in tartan red. You maybe see it out the corner of the camera, but it's sitting on a rollover jig just now, getting a lot of work done to it. It's looking pretty sorry for itself, but once we deal with all the rust, we hope that it'll be a good project. The Sprite that we've got just now and we're restoring, there's a lot of parts missing from it. It was really a rolling shell I got, didn't have an engine, interior or anything like that. So I was on the lookout for a donor car or a parts car, and I discovered there was a car in Sunderland. It was a midget, 1275 midget, the same body style. So a friend again, we travelled down to Sunderland, looked at this car. So we managed to pull it and haul it onto the trailer and push the engine on it, and we brought it up the road. I think the car was actually used as a hill climb. It had a fiberglass body on it. It ended up looking like a Freddie Flintstone car where you could see through the bottom of the floor. But really, I seen past all that and I was looking at the bits that I needed. So that enhanced my project. We were down collecting the car and we'd almost trailered up with to strap everything onto the trailer and box everything. Some of the parts were getting put into the boot and into the inside of the car, and we're holding it back. There wasn't two bits together in the car. And my friend Robin actually turned around to the guy and says to him, and asked the gentleman if he had any keys. At this point I took it as a tongue-in-cheek statement because the car was really a donor car. It was scrapped to me, but the gentleman heard him and says, "Oh yeah," he says, "we've got keys." And he ran away into the house and he came back with a set of car keys. To my astonishment, the keys fitted every lock in the motor. It fitted the boot and the two doors. So it saved us even buying keys and locks. So that was another good thing, but it was funny when the gentleman ran and got a set of keys for it. It's not as if we were going to use them for the car. Hopefully the all going well and we get to work on it, the Sprite can be complete for maybe the summertime or Christmas. It just depends how far we get on and how much rust we take out it. But hopefully in the next year, within the year, we should have the car up and rolling. Maybe not roadworthy, but at least we could take it out. After the Sprite, no, I don't think I'll do another project, not unless my son can do the bulk of the work. It's quite hard coming out and lying under a car and doing a bit of welding and that. It's quite time consuming and cold, but fortunately just now I've got the midget on a rollover jig, so I don't really need to be lying under it. So that's a help, but no, I think I'll enjoy our two classic cars and go to all the shows that we can.